Hey, good morning. Welcome to a soggy Friday. At least here on the East Coast, man, we're getting clobbered by this crazy storm. When did they start labeling storms as bomb cyclones? I'm telling you, you know, the hype in the weather business has just gotten so out of hand. I don't know whether you agree with me or not, but I'm telling you, I think it's the Weather Channel, a couple of years ago started naming storms in the winter time, right? Let me go on a little bit of a rant here for a couple minutes. I'm telling you, when I saw that, I said, this is ridiculous. I mean, I understand that, you got a channel that the only time people tune into you is when there's something out of the ordinary happening. So, they've got to manufacture drama. And so, naming winter storms like they do, for hurricanes, and now we've got these bomb cyclones. I'm like, wait a minute, what? This didn't happen when, years ago. It's like we have a nor'easter. We know what that is. I'm sorry. So, end of rant. I'm just like, I wake up sometimes as like, what are you guys talking about? So anyway, happy Friday. Yes, good morning, Jack and Marie and Joanne and Donna. Who else we've got on here? Lisa, good morning. I don't understand what this thing is here. It says add. What am I adding? Oh, I see. Okay. No, that's not my iPad just, it has this weird thing on here. Good morning, Lisa. Did I say Joanne? I think I did. Yes. Good morning. I don't know. Doogie G. Wow, good to see you. I don't know who you are, but thanks for joining in. And Leslie, good morning. Yeah, so we're going to talk a little bit more about this story here in in Mark chapter 6, where, Jesus sends the disciples out into the boat to go across the Sea of Galilee. And while he sends the crowds away, goes up on the mountain to spend some time with his Father, right? And he sees at some point, gets a prophetic word of knowledge that he can see the disciples out there just straining. This headwind has come up and they're like making no progress. And so what does he do? He says, well, let me go bail my boys out again, right? So he gets out there, he's walking on the water. They see him and just even more start freaking out. Not that, the storm is bad enough, but now it's like, oh, it's a ghost. It's a ghost. And he speaks to them in the midst of all of this nonsense that's going on and their fear, right? And he says to them, take courage, it is I. Do not be afraid. And I want to just kind of continue to explore this thing that the Lord, showed me here in this story. When Jesus told them to get in the boat and go over to the other side to go to Bethsaida, this is no different than when he spoke to them a week or two earlier and said, let's go over to the other side. And this time it was to see this guy that had the legion. Jesus got an assignment from the Father to go across and to minister to this totally demon-possessed guy, right? And in that scenario, the enemy whips up, the mother of all storms on the Sea of Galilee to try to take Jesus and the disciples out. And so, he rebukes their little faith then. But again, he takes care of the problem, speaks to the storm, it's done. So you would think that their minds would like, okay, so this is familiar ground here. He's sending us across, which means that if there's any issues, we can deal with them. Well, clearly that lesson hadn't yet sunk in, because they're out there straining at, trying to row through this horrible headwind. and nothing clicked that, oh, wait a minute, Jesus just did this a couple of weeks ago. How about we speak to this storm and tell it to stop so that we can get where we're supposed to go because we have an assignment, right? And they didn't do that. And so here comes Jesus, again, willing to bail them out because that's who he is, right? He will never hold it against us that we're weak, that we're struggling, that we're having a problem, understanding, comprehending, and functioning in our identity. He'll never hold that against us, right? He may chide us a little bit and say, come on, really? You've been at this long enough to have figured this out, but I'm here. And I'm gonna be what you need right now because that's who he is. That's the level of love and grace that he has for us. So again, as I said yesterday, it's a win-win. We're gonna do our best. If we fail, he's right there. But here's the bigger picture. And this is what God really showed me about this story. When God speaks to us, when he reveals something to us, gives us a vision, gives us a sense of our purpose and our destiny, right? That word that he's spoken to us is the same as if he was with us, and we know he is, but when we don't feel like he is, when it seems like he's a million miles away and everything is crashing, in around us, and our current circumstances look like junk, look like crap, right? We have a choice to make. We can either look at all of that and say, oh my God, I must be out of God's will, or maybe he changed his mind, or what's wrong with me, that all this bad stuff is happening. No, there's always going to be opposition against us concerning our moving forward in whatever God's called us to. There's always going to be opposition. And so, but we can receive the word, the vision, the revelation of what God's shown us about what he wants for us, what he designed us for, what he created us for. We can receive that as a promise that he is always going to be with us in the midst of whatever happens. And that we, of course, have authority to deal with the opposition that comes against us. So these guys out there in the boat, it was as if Jesus was with them. Okay, because he gave them that word, that assignment, that goal to go across the sea. And so here he comes walking on the water. And what does he say? Take courage. It is I, right? It is I. I never left you, basically. He's saying, I was never apart from you. Yeah, you guys were out on the boat and I was on the mountain praying, but I spoke that word to you. So it was just like I'm there, right? Don't be afraid. Take courage. And so what happens? The moment he comes into the boat, storm dies. The wind just stops. Okay. That's the proof that they had that authority. They had that ability to act on the word they received all along. I mean, the moment that wind sprung up, they could have said, that's it. It's not going to continue. And so, verse 51 says that, when the wind stopped, when Jesus got into the boat, right, they were astonished. They just, they flipped out over that. And Mark makes the very obvious statement here that they had not gained any insight from the incident of the loaves. Again, talking about a miracle of authority over the natural realm, right? So what actually happens once they get over to the other side, once they fulfill that assignment? Well, that's where we pick it up here in verse 53. It says that when they crossed over, they came to land at Gennesaret. By the way, the same place where they went previously to meet with, and minister to the guy that had the legion. And they moored to the shore. And when they'd come out of the boat, immediately the people recognized Jesus and ran about the whole country and began to carry about on their pallets those who were sick to the place they heard he was. And wherever he entered villages or cities or countryside, they were laying the sick in the marketplaces, entreating him that they might just touch the fringe of his cloak. And as many as touched it were being cured. So what was the assignment? the assignment there was to bring the kingdom, to bring the reality of God's presence and the miracles that are inherent in his kingdom. That's what the assignment was that the disciples were called to do. Now, I don't know, honestly, how this would have played out had the disciples gotten there before Jesus. We just don't know. Okay. But once he was there and we see how it all developed, it was very clear that Jesus had gotten word from the Father, time to go back over there, because people have now heard. Because remember, right? But when Jesus left there after setting that man free from Legion, what did he say to the guy? No, 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 you stay here and you go and tell people about what God did for you. I love, somebody said this once, and I never forgot it. He said, you know, Jesus didn't let the guy come with him, but rather he appointed this man who had been thoroughly demon possessed, but was now free. He appointed this man as the head of the Jesus Christ Evangelistic Association for that region. And so clearly the guy had done his job, because here Jesus is coming back to that same area. And now people are going, oh my gosh, because you remember, right? The first time, they actually were so freaked out by him that he said, no, please, would you just get out of here? We're scared of you. You know, dumb, but that's what they did. Now, what happens? Jesus is here. Oh my gosh. And so they start bringing people left and right to be healed and set free from Jesus. And, you know, listen, I love this stuff. And it is without question that God is bringing us as his kids. He's bringing us back to this reality in our daily lives. Now, you may look at this and go, well, what? I'm not going to do that. That's Jesus. See, we got to get away from that thinking, because if you're born again, you're one with this one who had that kind of reputation. And I don't know about you, but I want that kind of reputation, not for me, but for the fact that, you know, that I represent him, that Jesus lives in me. I would love to have a reputation like that, where people know that they can come to me, right, and get answers to their problems, to get set free from stuff, to get healed from stuff. And that's what the Father wants for every single one of us. And so we can actually say, okay, Lord, show me how to do that. Show me who you want me to minister to. Who do you want me to help? Who do you want me to do something for that'll bless them in such a way that they'll know it's you just coming through me. You know, it's got to be supernatural. In other words, can't just be something that I can do in my own strength, right? I mean, I can give somebody a bottle of water, you know, as a way to bless them, which is awesome. Nothing wrong with it. But there's nothing supernatural about that. Here we see all this supernatural stuff going on. And Jesus, of course, as we remember, John 14, he said, the works that I do, you will do, and greater works than these will you do. That's his promise to us, right? So, but we've got to come into agreement with that and recognize that wherever we go, there he is. Wherever we go, there he is. So this idea of don't leave home without him is simply walking in an awareness of our oneness and of the potential that that brings into every situation, into every person's life that we come in contact with, right? We have that same anointing and authority, presence of the kingdom of God in and through us that Jesus carried. We have that. The issue, of course, is that we don't quite believe it as fully as we need to. There's still a lot of doubt, a lot of uncertainty. But again, keep in mind, Jesus is the one who works with us where we are. He'll never make you feel stupid or condemned for whatever failures, right, that you may experience in your walking this out with him. He's right there. He says, take courage. It is I. Yes, I am in you and through you. I live here with you. I am in you, right? Take courage. Don't be afraid. And that's the encouragement that we have this morning, that we can, as we begin to understand and God begins to open our eyes to what's possible, we'll take baby steps, but that's fine. He doesn't care. He just wants us to take steps. So maybe it's a simple thing. It's like, oh, you see a coworker that doesn't look so well. And you say, hey, are you okay? And say, oh man, I got this raging headache. Oh wow, I'm so sorry. Hey, would you mind if I pray for you? And you just put your hand on their shoulder and say, headache, I command you to go in Jesus' name. That's simple. That's not a big major production, but there's things like that we can engage in as the opportunity presents itself. And here's what's going to happen. Word's going to get out. People are going to go, oh, wait a minute. There's something special here. And they'll start to come to you, just as we see here, where the word got out, Jesus is here. Well, you can put your name there too, okay? And say, oh, Russ is here. I've had that reaction at times, and it is a little scary, I'll be honest with you, when people do that. But I've come to understand that it's not me, really. It is me, but it's me and him, all right? So we'll get that straight. But that's the thing. We want to have that kind of reputation as someone who's really representing his heart well and bringing people into an encounter with him. And we can do that. You can do that. You absolutely can do that. And so I just encourage you with that today. It's some heavy stuff. It's some important stuff, but you've got the weekend now to process it all and just let him show you what it looks like in your life. So, man, have fun with that. How about that? Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Good morning. Let's see who else we've got. Yeah, bringing someone on. I figured that out, Lisa. That's what that was. Can you imagine? Oh, my gosh. How would that work? I mean, there's a few people I wouldn't mind bringing on here. I'll have to mess with that sometime. Let's see who else. We got you, Lisa. Good morning. Jane, good morning. Hey, Joe, good to see you as well. Yeah, the proof was in the pudding. Absolutely. Keith, good morning. Derek, good to see you guys. Ralph and Rosa, how are you? Hey, thank you so much. We carry Jesus in our pocket. Well, he's right here. He's in that innermost being part. So thank you so much for hanging out. It's been a real joy and privilege to just be with you. Share the video if you would, please, so we get a few others in on our weekday morning get together, 8:30 Eastern, for Breakfast with Jesus. Feel free to reach out if you'd like to chat by email or Facebook private message. And I look forward to seeing you on Monday. You can check out all these videos over on the Breakfast with Jesus 247 page if you'd like to catch up. So once again, you have a great day. Stay dry. If you're out here on the East Coast, it's pretty nasty, but we'll look forward to being back Monday. Until then, you be blessed.